Previously, I've mentioned the importance of Afrezza dose timing, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail in this video. I believe it's actually the most important part of dosing with Afrezza, and as I'll explain here, I think the timing of the dose is actually more important than the dose itself. During the working week, the most common lunchtime meal I have is 2 toasted cheese sandwiches with some butter on top. So I'll use this as an example. For this meal, I'll have 1 green dose 10 minutes after I start eating, provided my glucose levels are in range. This is then followed up by a blue dose around 90 minutes later when the bulk of the first dose of Afrezza is out of my system. Some meals, particularly fatty ones like those sandwiches, require this extra dose to extend its duration. But if I miss the window of opportunity for the follow-up dose, say by 10 or 20 minutes, because I get caught up with work and I lose track of time, which is easy to do because I don't have a CGM that gives me alerts, then that blue dose for a follow-up won't be enough. Instead, I'll need a green dose. However, if I miss the window by more than 20 minutes, say I miss it by 30 or 40 minutes, then I'll actually need 2 doses or 2 green doses as the follow-up. 1 green dose won't be enough. This is because my glucose levels will have already raised to beyond the point at which 1 green dose is enough to correct for. I found the ideal time to have Afrezza is before my glucose levels rise from the meal I've just eaten. I never have it before I eat, but it's important not to wait too long, otherwise a higher dose is needed in order to reduce rising blood sugar levels. The same is true for a follow-up dose, as I've just explained, but for me, the general rule of thumb is to dose around 10 minutes after I start eating. Of course, for some fattier meals, I'll need to wait longer. Conversely, for something as quick as a can of Coke or sugary breakfast cereals, I might take it when I start eating. While this sounds really complex, it isn't. It's actually very simple. A couple of weeks ago, I had a 5-course Japanese banquet, and by having a green dose of Afrezza every 45 minutes or so, my glucose levels remained perfect. And the same approach worked perfectly when I had a dinner party a couple of weeks ago and was even drinking sugary cocktails. So I think for people first starting out on Afrezza, I'd recommend experimenting with dosage timings early on. Pick a meal that you have very often and try a few different dose timing strategies, and keeps track of how each of these timings affects your charts. And by doing this, you'll get a much better understanding of how best to dose Afrezza for you, because everyone is different. Thanks for watching.